conference just last May, a couple of weeks ago, Egypt, which leads the non-aligned movement at the moment, 118 countries, pressed very hard for moving towards establishing a nuclear weapons-free zone in the region. The U.S. was pressed into a corner and couldn't disagree, so said, sure, we agree in principle. But Hillary Clinton said, yes, but the time is not ripe. And the U.S., Obama hid behind the Israeli position, which said, sure, let's do it, but after there's a comprehensive peace settlement, which the U.S. and Israel can delay indefinitely, as they've been doing. So there are no steps towards a nuclear weapons-free zone, to which, incidentally, the United States is very strongly committed. The U.S. and Britain, when they invaded Iraq, tried to provide a kind of a thin legal cover for it, and the legal cover was a Security Council resolution 687 from 1991, which called on Iraq to eliminate its weapons of mass destruction program. And as you recall, the U.S. and Israel and the UK claimed that they had not done so. Well, that turned out to be false, but they claimed they had not done so. But if you look at that resolution, Article 14, it calls on the signers to move to establish a nuclear weapons-free zone in the region. So the U.S. and UK, above everyone else, are committed to this. But it isn't even discussed here. So to talk about the Iranian nuclear threat while we're refusing to take the most elementary steps towards eliminating any potential threat that might arise sometime is kind of ludicrous. In fact, if you look at there is now a declassified study from last April from the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Pentagon assessing the military balance in the region, the Iranian threat included in particular. And they point out that Iran's military doctrine is essentially defensive. It's an attempt to deter attacks, that Iran's military expenditures are relatively low compared to the region, and of course minuscule as compared to the U.S., and that if they are developing nuclear weapons, it would be as a deterrent. So whatever threat Iran poses is not a military threat. It's a threat of independence. Well, Israel doesn't like that. The U.S. doesn't like that. But to call that a threat while Israel has a huge nuclear capacity, has refused to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty, is rejecting calls from the International Atomic Energy Agency, to open up its facilities to inspection backed by the U.S., and is in fact proceeding to crush Palestinians. Anybody watching this from Mars would break down in hysterical laughter. Well,
Israel is the only nation in the Middle East which has nuclear weapons, but it has not officially acknowledged that they have them.
That's correct. And it is one of three nuclear states, that have not signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty, Israel, India, and Pakistan, all of which are protected by the United States in their nuclear weapons programs, to which the U.S. in fact contributes and has contributed. Those are the three non-signers.
And so
and that continues to this moment. In this context, how can we even listen to Obama saying he wants to get rid of nuclear weapons?
And so, there's some cynicism I hear in your voice. So, and it's understandable, I would say. But so, what can we expect to happen if there's not going to be? The international community is calling on the Middle East to be a nuclear-free zone, and yet Israel and the United States are not moving in that direction. So
not only not moving in that direction, but blocking it. And remember that the U.S. has a specific commitment over and above other countries because of the Iraq invasion.
So where do we go from here?
That's up to people like you. We're citizens of the United States. If we care about what our country's doing, we should proceed to do something about it.
So, when you say we should proceed to do something, give me some specifics. What should we do?
We should be organizing and acting to get Congress to compel the administration to move towards reducing the dire threat of nuclear weapons. And there are many ways to do it. One is by establishing nuclear weapons-free zones. The Middle East is one case, but it's not the only case. So to mention another relevant here, the African Union did finally agree to a nuclear weapons-free zone, but it can't implement it. And the reason it can't implement it is because of the United States and Britain. There is an island in the Indian Ocean, Diego Garcia, which is claimed by the African Union. It's part of Africa. Britain and the United States, it has bases for U.S. Nuclear weapons and nuclear submarines and so on. The population was kicked out by Britain so that the United States could establish a major military base there. That base is used, it's a major military base, it's used for bombing of Middle East and Central Asia. Obama is beefing it up very sharply. He's both its nuclear weapons capacity and its massive ordnance. In fact, he's just sent there a couple of hundred so-called bunker busters, the biggest weapons in the arsenal, short of nuclear weapons, aimed at Iran. All of that's going on right now. Diego Garcia is excluded by the U.S. and Britain from the African Union nuclear weapons-free zone, which means they can't implement it. Well, that's one case. The Middle East is another case. There actually are others. But if we're interested in non-proliferation, we should be compelling the U.S. government to take concrete steps that are available towards reducing the threat of war. For example, dismantling the military base in Diego Garcia and terminating the threats of aggression against Iran, and moving towards reducing and towards mitigating the threat of use of nuclear weapons or development of nuclear weapons, which can be done in many ways, nuclear weapons-free zones being the most obvious.
But
there's a lot that we can do.
But this isn't widely covered in the U.S. media.
That's a bit of an understatement. It isn't covered, period. Mm-hmm. Try to find some references.
Mm-hmm. So how do American citizens get informed on this issue? It's not covered. Why isn't the media?
By people like you writing about it, mm-hmm. and organizing and educating. That's our job. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not tossed in jail for telling the truth about these things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid I've got to take off. I have another interview.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you. Can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
Okay. As a Jewish American, what would you like to say to other Jewish Americans regarding Israel?
Pretty much what I said in the 1970s. I mean, I wrote at that time, and I think it's even more true today, that those who call themselves supporters of Israel are, in fact, supporters of Israel's moral degeneration, increased isolation, and possible ultimate destruction. I hate to say it, and I hate to see it, but it's coming true.